such an amazing audience, such an amazing country, and such an amazing future.
Good morning, everybody.
Hello, hello.
Are you hungover?
Well, those people who are here are not hungover.
Ah, okay, sorry. Are you hangover?
Are you all the people who didn't go to the party?
Who of you went to the party? Wonderful. We two never went.
I went for 7 minutes, actually.
You were 7 minutes at the party. I went to the hotel and to sleep because I need my beautiful sleep. Otherwise, I wouldn't be so awake today. Look, people are waving. Wonderful. So, yesterday we had a couple of interesting panels. One, Stens. No, sorry. Actually, every panel was wonderful. The speakers were wonderful. But Sten's panel was amazing.
We had a lot of stuff about this astonishing Estonia with our public sector people.
Exactly. Taavi said something, baba est, blah blah est, blah blah est.
Which made a lot of media in the social media and press, actually.
Exactly. All Delphi banners were est. So, what happens today?
We have a lot of stuff about hardware, Internet of Things, robots, for example.
Oh, yeah, we will have those. You know, these are these things they build and they move around. Like, you know this company which delivers pizzas to presidents?
Starship.
Yes, exactly that one. I think they are on the stage as well.
Might be.
Maybe. Look in your mobile app, there is the schedule there. By the way, rate each session, preferably with a good note. If you don't like it, then okay. Put thumbs down or up or something like that. I think it's...
Let's get started.
Yes, this was the intro for the day. We're a little bit both sleepy, so bear with us. We will get better. Who's the first speaker?
So we have a lot of energy and a very good story coming up, actually. So it's a guy who came to me, I think 5-6 years ago, with something on a napkin, some vague ideas that he wanted to do. He was a mechanical engineer, was helping to build metal doors, very startup-y thing. Got started, got funded, went to accelerator, went to the US, did a small 100 million exit, became a partner at one of the world's top leading VC firms. So let's hear what we can learn from Hardi Meybaum.
Thank you. Okay, I can see that the expectations are low. I need to bring energy after yesterday's party, after skipping two nights of sleep, so I will do my best. So can you raise your hand who are working in a startup or who are founder here? Wow, that's quite a lot. And how many of you are outside Estonia? That's pretty nice. This is my first Latitude. I've been very, very impressed. So I'm going to talk about what I've learned building GrabCAD and what I've seen my friends and some investments I've done of how to build companies in Europe and how to build companies, how to build startups. So I was a founder, co-founder, and CEO of GrabCAD. I'm also founder of Latitude59, which is where we want to get young people interested in STEM. And I have a day job now, which is kind of weird, but I'm a general partner at the Matrix Partners. So Matrix is a firm in China, India, and US. I think one of our recent wins have been we were the first investor at Oculus Rift that sold to Facebook, and we were investors in Zendesk, which was a company in Denmark, went public last year. And Matrix was my investor as well, so that's how I ended up there. And we have questions we have after the talk, or how does it work? After, okay. So typically I put this slide up and say we started in 2009 in the middle of nowhere. Now Estonia have become a place where everyone knows what this country is. And we sold the company in 2014. I cannot disclose the final numbers, but as always, TechCrunch knows the truth. So it was a very good and aggressive run, and here's what I learned. So this was the first version of GrabCAD, basically. That was, for Yuri, this is a napkin. For us as a mechanical engineers, that was hard work and good design. So it took us probably 4 months to build this web form. And the whole idea was that we were running an engineering services firm, and we wanted to get jobs outside of Estonia. And I did not know a term VC because there was no Quora at that time. And we put that one out, and when we were working on this, coding, 2 mechanical engineers, clearly we didn't do a good job. Everyone, all our friends told that this is a stupid idea, that people start ordering like rocket parts and all that stuff to this web form, and they said this is really, really bad idea. So I learned a very key lesson there is that you should listen to your customer, because all your customers said it's a great idea, and all investors, although it really hurts me to say it, all the investors told this is a bad idea and they gave me a bad advice. So the first key rule that I always remember where times were hard is talk to customers, and they really show you the way. So then we launched this site, and we got this first order, and someone sent this picture to us and draw a red arrow and said, "Can I have a design file for that part?" And to be very honest with you, that was one of the low moments. You cannot really design based on that, and I really thought that those smart investors maybe were right. But luckily, this was our second order, and anyone guesses what it is? It's a ATV wheelbarrow. So someone sent us this sketch and said, I want a design file, and I want to go manufacture it. And we basically created some renderings and drawings, and we earned $25. And we were so happy about making that $25. We went and got drunk, and we spent $60 that night. And that was the second very important lesson, that you really need to celebrate victories, because building companies are so hard and every day you face shit. So it's really, really good if you get the win sometimes to celebrate it. And customer money is always the sweetest money. So then things went forward, and then I decided it's time to go all in. So I quit my very well-paid day job week before my first daughter was born, and I learned that another very important lesson is that you need to have a very understanding spouse when you're doing a startup, because you are not really home very often, and even if you're home, you really are not home, because all you're thinking about the shit that is going on in your company. So really, you need to have a very, very understanding spouse, and there is a lot of crazy stories that I'm not going to say what I've done during those last 6 years. Which is like, I don't know what I was thinking, but a very important lesson. So I raised our first seed money in Europe, and Yuri knows this story well. And for us, it was very, very painful. We almost give out half of our company for pennies. So read Quora, talk to Yuri. He learned from our failure, and don't be very conscious when you're raising money in Europe. Hopefully things are better. I haven't raised money from Europe for a long time. I think people talk a lot, is Valley the only place to build a company? Can you build companies in Europe? And my view of this is that you really need to decide what type of company you're building. If you're building something that is very innovative, nobody have done it, maybe the first market is in US, I think you need to move to US. But there is a lot of great businesses. You can copy some of the existing players in your local markets. So we are Matrix, do you know what logo this is? Not Uber, but the other one? It is a company called Didi Guidi, which Apple just invested $1 billion a couple of weeks ago. And Matrix was the first investor, and they are 10 times bigger in China than Uber is, and it's amazing business. So you can build very big businesses in your local markets by copying some US companies, and that's a good thing. I think that's a great thing if you do that. But you need to decide what type of company you're building. So we moved 3 months after starting company. We started in Estonia, and one of the key things why we did that was that I fundamentally believe that you need to go where the talent is and where your customers are. Because if you're close to the customer, you can jump on a car and go ask feedback from them for your new product idea. And when you get to a certain scale, you really need to start bringing on more experienced people, and it's easier if you are in that location where those people are. So as an entrepreneur from Estonia, I was on my road to go to Silicon Valley, and I had a short stop in Boston and a tiny place in East Coast, and I decided that was a better place for us to build a company than Silicon Valley, and it was one of the best decisions we made not to move to Silicon Valley. And there's many reasons for that, but our industry really was in Boston and in East Coast, and it was easy for us to recruit, it was easy for us to raise money and talk with customers. So really, people are obsessed by Silicon Valley, but there are many, many amazing places to build companies outside Silicon Valley. So as you know, living in Estonia, we live in nice places, let's be honest. I've learned that lesson when I moved to US. So first time I went there, I had like a 4-month-old daughter. I booked this place on top of that, and I arrived in this shithole outside Boston, and it was pretty tough. Like, it was super expensive, and it was a shithole. And I have very low standards, but it was a shithole. So it's like, the big lesson is that everything is not as it appears. And it was a very tough week going to US, because then I lived in the shithole, and then I went to all these networking events like this, and all the entrepreneurs were so impressive. They know what they were talking, they had their pitch nailed down, they were like pianists, they were athletes, they had PhDs, all that stuff, and I was like, holy shit, like, these guys are really, really good. So I was like, I'm gone. I'm done with this startup, and I was looking already tickets back and thinking of going back to my day job, but luckily the tickets were too expensive, so I couldn't afford, and I stayed. But to be serious, really, I think you need to decide. If you do this, it's so hard. You need to decide if you're in or out, and there is no middle ground in startups, because it's a fight for the life every single day. So we ended up building a remote team. We had office in Cambridge or Boston, US. We had a team in Cambridge, UK, and we had there was also engineering team, and we had engineering team here in Tallinn. And it was really hard. At the beginning, we had only two offices, Tallinn and Boston, and it didn't work. It was so dysfunctional. It really did not work, and I really struggled. I wanted to have a team in Estonia, although I already moved to US. I wanted to make remote work, but I wasn't really making progress. And then we opened an office in Cambridge, UK, because we needed to build some sophisticated 3D software. That Cambridge was the only place in the world to find that talent. And these guys were always used to work remote, and we finally got it working, and it was really powerful. When we scaled the engineering team, it's so much easier if you have 3 places and you can hire in all of those 3 places. And we made it work, and it was fantastic. So I wouldn't shy away from remote teams, but it's a hard work to make it happen. So today, GrabCAD has more than 3 million users, and which is, I always stunned by this number, because there are 3 million mechanical engineers in the world, and GrabCAD has 3 million users, so something is not right, but our software cannot be used if you don't have a CAD software, so probably a lot of illegal software out there, but I don't know anything about that. So again, we built GrabCAD from 0 to 3 million users, and we didn't spend any dollars on marketing. Our marketing budget was $0 from the beginning till then. It was all organic, and people always ask, how do you build that big community? And I always, I gave the simple answer is love your customers, and we were obsessive about talking with customers. We had a KPI, every month we did employee survey, and one of the first question always was, did you talk with a customer? So I forced every engineer to talk with a customer to build a good product. So the whole GrabCAD story was always very customer driven, and we built stuff that customers wanted, and that really helped a lot. So the other thing what we learned was that the first users were very hard, but then we figured out the secret sauce that helped us to grow, and we really doubled down on what was working. And what I've observed later on is that most startups, they get one or two things right, and they really double down on those things, and that really fuels the growth. And for us, it was an SEO play and viral loop that our customers have. So we really doubled down and optimized that funnel, and that was engineering work, and we got away with not spending too much not money in marketing. So I raised around $17 million from Matrix and around 20 other investors, and some of the key lessons that I learned was that you really need to raise money when you can, not when you need. And people, now I'm an investor, and it's pretty funny when someone comes and says to you, oh, we're raising $1 million, it's like I always don't want to invest. But when someone is not investing, I really want to invest. And I saw the same thing. So we were pretty aggressive. We raised seed, A and B round, everything in 14-month period, and when we raised the seed, we didn't need the money. When we raised A, we didn't need the money, and B, we didn't need the money. But then we had pretty nice bank account, and I had a lot of cushion to build the company and not to worry about are we running out of money and raising all the time. But so that was really the key lesson: is raise when you can, not when you need. The other really important one, we had for our Series B, we had 4 amazing firms, top-tier firms in Valley, giving us the term sheets. And the key lesson, and I went with probably the worst reputation firm from those 4 firms. And the main reason was that I felt that I wasn't very sure if I'm a good CEO in that point. And I just felt that I needed someone who believed in me as a CEO. And Matrix did that when they first invested. And I just felt that I really want to go with a guy who wants me to succeed as a CEO. So that's also really important learning, is that if you're raising money, take money from people who just don't want to make money from you, but who want you to succeed. And it's going to be a much pleasant road, because when we sold the company, investors didn't want to sell the company. They wanted to actually continue building it, but I thought that it was time, and they were very supportive of that. If I would have had VCs who would have been, no, you can't sell it, it would have been pretty tough position to be at. So raise money from people who want you to succeed. So another interesting point in our company was where we had this marketplace where we were doing services, and we had pretty big problems, because we wanted to build a company for engineers, but people who ordered services were actually paying money, so they were the real customer. So we were in this constant conflict that every marketplace had, and I just didn't want to build that type of business. Although we were profitable and things were pretty good, I didn't want to build that services business. I really wanted to build a product company, and I think that's a very important thing to figure out early on, is what type of companies you want to build. And these marketplaces or services businesses are fantastic businesses if they work, but they're not for everyone. So I think if you're clear on figuring out what type of company you want to build, that's also going to help you a lot in the longer term, because you hire people, you get new investors, they always come back with new ideas and say, oh, can you add marketplace? And I'm like, no, that's not the company I want to build. So it's really, really valuable if you know that before. And then there's 2 types of companies, I think, again, making this in what type of you are. So we had one of our biggest angel investor was David Sachs. He's now a CEO of Zenefits, and he was a CEO of PayPal and did Yammer. And we argued a lot about that. And his view was that Yammer was a team-driven company. Everything they built in a Yammer was what team think is the right thing. And if customer wanted something, they said, screw you, you don't know what you want. And Steve Jobs was like, Steve Jobs says customer don't know what they want until they see it. This is definitely one way to do it if you're Steve Jobs. I felt I wasn't, and we built a company was very customer-driven. And I think that's also quite important to figure out first before you really go into this long journey, because this will help your team to make those decisions. Again, coming back to customers, there was a guy, I don't know if you can see it, actually it's very, very blurry, but this guy, here it is. It's one of our users, he had 76,000, this small number there, 76,000 conversations in GrabCAD. And we looked at data, he spent average 20 hours on GrabCAD a day. And I do not know what he was doing there, but like, that just goes a long way of like, if you build products that your customers love, like, you will have amazing advocates. This guy was amazing. He told all his friends, professors, future employers about how amazing GrabCAD is, and only because we paid attention to these guys who otherwise didn't get it. And based on that feedback, we built a product called Workbench that basically helped people to collaborate. And again, that was not my idea. This idea came from customers, and it turned out to be great business for us. And here is one of my favorite customer who used this tool to build this thing. What do you think this is? It's a gourmet hamburger machine. So it's really delicious stuff. So I always love visiting these guys. And so a couple of lessons that I learned from building teams. So I had a day job, and I liked it, but I really didn't like the people who worked there. And so I basically made a rule that I want to hire in GrabCAD people who I want to invite my birthday. And that rule is really important because this is a long road, and if you hate people, if you hate going to office, it's just not going to be very fun for you. So very, very important rule. And then the other thing is that you are going to have a downtime, and I had a couple of them, and it's really important to hire people who inspire you in difficult times and take over. So that's really your executive team or co-founders. When you are not, on top of your game, some other people can come in and do great work and inspire you. So we had a fantastic team, and I was super happy to work with these people. So this is the last slide. Be clear about priorities. In GrabCAD, we always had priorities figured out. Number 1 is customer. Number 2 is team, and as it really hurts to say, but number 3 was investors. So team was important, but customers were more important, and investors weren't that important. So and it paid out. So that was a quick story of us building GrabCAD and what I learned.
Thanks, Hardi. Great story. So Hardi is a very good example of how actually hard work pays off, and some things actually take time as well. Building GrabCAD took time, but also if you can find like old Hardi's presentation videos, maybe from like Techstars or early days and so on, you can find how well Estonian can learn to become a great presenter in 5 years. So take your time and take your training.
Yes. Learn to do presentations, super important skills.
Yeah.
No, not really.
Can you tell me a little bit about your current job? So what do you actually do? And we have a lot of startups here probably looking for money as well. How early should Estonians talk to you? How early you get involved and so on? What do you do at Matrix?
Yeah, so I'm an investor at Matrix. We typically invest Series A and Series B, so between $5 and $10 million rounds are something we do most. I personally actually don't like to do that late stage. It's actually bad we have a big fund. I should be doing those, but I really like the early stage because I can spend time with entrepreneurs and help to figure out what to build and who to hire. I think you can talk to me all the time. I like technical founders most. I'm biased for technical founders. I think the future is that CEOs who are engineers will be the future, and the times of bringing on professional CEOs is over. So I'm a big believer in that.
Okay. So any questions from the people? Raise your hand. One there. Take the mic.
You mentioned that you started GrabCAD at about the same time you had just become a parent. Any comments on how to best make do with such a hardship squared situation?
Yeah, there's no easy answers. Sometimes stuff happens, and I don't know, you sell a company or you fundraise or you need to close a customer, and that needs to be priority because the team really rallies behind you. And so I had simple rules. I tried not to work on Saturdays, so that was a rule that I kept quite a lot. I had a very tough routine. So basically, every Monday we had executive team meeting, product, sales, marketing, all these team meetings. Then typically Monday night I flight out. I met customers Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And then I came back on Thursday night, and Friday I was in office with one-on-one with the executives. And then I was home at Saturday, and Sunday night I started working again. And when I was home on Mondays and Fridays, I went home around 6 o'clock and put my kids to sleep and then started working. So that was a routine that worked for me, but I couldn't kept it. When we were selling the company, my family actually needed to come back to Estonia because it was a very intense period, and I probably slept like 2 to 3 hours average the whole summer when we were closing the deal. So I just, I couldn't really afford distractions. So it's hard. It's really hard. If you can do it the other way, maybe give your kids away. I recommend that.
Thank you. One more question. Do we have one more? I can have one more, actually. So you have talked quite a lot about how Estonia should go very early to the US. So what's your current thinking on that? Like, how early should a founder go there instead of trying to do? Are there some things you should actually try to do from here as well?
Yeah. So I think I will probably go a little later because it's getting way easier to figure out the product market fit here, and talking over Skype or it's become more natural thing than it was 6 years ago. So what I will do is, if you as your market, let's assume you're building a B2B SaaS company, and eventually you need to have an inside sales and you need to move to US. What I will do is I would build the product here, get to those 10 first customers first, and then start spending time in US, raising money and meeting executives. So.
Okay, so hands up to Hardi. Thank you.